Alec Baldwin is officially screwed. G'day guys, this is Holy Critics signing in, and it's good to be back with you again. Now, in today's video, I want to cover a development in the Alec Baldwin murder case. And yes, I call it murder because that's exactly what happened on the set of that lame bloody western he was making, on a shoestring budget no less, cutting corners left and right. And this guy, he wants to portray himself as a victim. Now, I'm going to put my hand up here and tell you honestly that I can't stand him as an actor. I find him to be quite obnoxious, and the characters he tends to play seem to sort of suit his personality type. He is the epitome of Hollywood douchebag. Likes to run around and tell us how to vote and how to think. For example, he'll tell you that we need to address the problem of gun violence in America, while he makes movies, action movies, where he kills other people with guns and makes a living for it. But you can't own a gun. No matter how safe, how well trained you might be, Alec Baldwin wants to take your firearm from you. And yet, someone like him is woefully inept when it comes to handling his own weapons. Doesn't even bother to check if a live round is in a gun. But somehow, he bears no responsibility. And he's real torn up about it, as you're about to see in this exclusive interview he did a month ago.
Emotional and at times defiant.
I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
Alec Baldwin
it's
telling
not him.
ABC News his version of how
Funny that.
cinematographer Helena Hutchins was shot and killed with a Colt 45 revolver he was holding while rehearsing a scene like this. The actor says he pulled back the hammer but didn't fully cock the weapon.
I'm holding that. I'm just showing her. Does that work? Do you see that? Do you see that? She goes, yeah, that's good. I let go of the hammer.
Yeah, that's because you had your finger on the trigger. So when you pull back the hammer and let it go, it fired. That's kind of how those old six-shooters fire, isn't it? Remember the old days when you could fan the gun in some spaghetti western, Clint Eastwood? Choo, 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 choo. Isn't that how that works, Alec? Or don't you know what you're doing?
Bang, the gun goes off.
Baldwin insisting he never pulled the trigger.
Everyone is horrified.
My ass, you did.
Shocked.
Of course you did.
It's loud. They don't have their earplugs in. No one was. The gun was supposed to be empty.
You can trust me too. I mean, it's true. What?
Baldwin says he's grieving for Hutchins and her family.
This boy doesn't have a mother anymore.
Because of you.
And there's nothing we can do to bring her back. She was someone who was loved by everyone who worked with and liked by everyone who worked with and admired.
Attorneys for the film's armorer, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, recently telling Savannah they believe someone deliberately sabotaged the set by mixing live ammunition into a box labeled dummy rounds.
The person who put the live round in the box of dummy rounds had to have the purpose of sabotaging this set. There's no other reason you would do that you would mix that live round in with a dummy round.
It's a claim Baldwin says he doesn't believe.
That's an enormous charge to make, that someone came and did something. For what purpose? What was their motive in doing that if somebody did that? It's overwhelmingly likely.
Has nothing to do with some conspiracy theory behind the scenes. It's just reckless disregard on your behalf, because you've got your finger on the trigger and you're pulling the hammer back and you're aiming a gun. It was a gun. It wasn't a prop gun that couldn't fire rounds. I'm not buying it. Sounds like the prosecutor isn't either.
That it was an accident.
Just hours before the deadly shooting, members of the film's camera crew had walked off the set, citing poor working conditions and safety concerns. But Baldwin telling ABC News he had no knowledge of any serious issues on the set and believed the filming on Rust was going well.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
God, I sat on that pew right before they called lunch, and I said, this movie has made me love making movies again.
Baldwin also pushing back against criticism he should have checked the gun even after being told it was cold or safe by assistant director Dave Halls.
The actor's responsibility is to do what the prop armorer tells him to do.
And when asked if he feels guilt as well as grief, Baldwin said no.
Honest to God, if I felt that I was responsible, I might have killed myself if I thought I was responsible. I don't say that lightly.
Oh, poor Alec. Poor Alec. He couldn't bear it. He would end his life if he could possibly have endangered another person. But wait a minute, you did endanger another person, Alec. It wasn't. You didn't drop the gun, or the gun didn't go off spontaneously. You pulled the trigger, you pulled the hammer back, and you aimed it in the direction of the assistant director. So by that standard, Alec Baldwin would have necked himself quite a while ago. But he lives in some ignorant bubble where nothing is his responsibility. He even just said that I'm an actor, and my responsibility is to just be told where to stand and what to say without even thought, which is just incredible. But I expect no less from Hollywood libtards, because they're all like this. Do as I say, not as I do. Alright, so here's the breaking news for today. Alec Baldwin to be charged with manslaughter in fatal shooting on the set of Rust. The DA is not buying his weep story. No siree. They think there is a strong possibility that he will be convicted. This video you're about to watch provides an interesting legal analysis of what could possibly happen during the trial.
Good morning. We're coming on the air with breaking news. Just moments ago, the New Mexico District Attorney released a statement announcing it will file involuntary manslaughter charges against actor Alec Baldwin over the 2021 fatal film set shooting of cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Baldwin was holding the prop gun on the New Mexico set of the Western titled Rust when the gun went off, killing Hutchinson. Miguel Almaguer has been covering this story and joins me now from New Mexico. What more can you tell us, Miguel?
Well, Lester, this decision has been a long time in the making. The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office has been reviewing and investigating this case for over a year now, and the DA's office here in Santa Fe County has been looking at that investigation for over 3 months before officially making their decision today. As you know, Alec Baldwin will face involuntary manslaughter charges. So will Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. She was the prop master in charge of the weapons. Now, it does appear Dave Halls, the assistant director who handed Alec Baldwin that weapon and yelled out "cold gun," meaning it was safe to use, has struck a plea deal. He'll face probationary measures here in Santa Fe. Lester, this is a big investigation that has taken several agencies months.
Well, that kind of blows Alec Baldwin's defense out of the water. The guy who gave him the gun, the person he blames, because remember, he's just an actor, has struck a plea deal. Why are they convicting Alec? Surely there's no prospect of prison time, surely. But no, they think there is.
To figure out. There was body camera footage that was sorted through. There was texts, phone calls, emails that were sorted through. The FBI ran the ballistics tests on the weapon that was used in this shooting. So it certainly has involved several agencies. This decision has been a long time coming, and now we know Alec Baldwin and the prop master Hannah Gutierrez-Reed will face involuntary manslaughter charges, Lester.
All right, Miguel, let me ask you to stand by while I turn to Danny Savalos, an NBC News legal analyst. Danny, what is the bar here for involuntary manslaughter?
There are several different ways that the state can get to a conviction under the involuntary manslaughter statute in New Mexico, but really only two could possibly apply to Baldwin. One is a lawful act, which this was, using a gun on a film set, that is done in a criminally negligent manner. And that is a bit of a misnomer because what it really means is recklessness. It means the conscious disregard of a known risk. And the other option is use of a firearm in just a merely negligent manner, which means that the conduct fell below the applicable standard of care. And believe me, this will be a battle of the experts. You're going to have stunt experts, armor experts, movie set experts. You're going to have all kinds of firearm experts as well. So that may be the option that the state used because that negligence, mere negligence standard is so light. But as much as I believe that Baldwin would be charged, I think it's a misstep for the state to charge him because all these statutes deal with a weapon that someone knows to be a weapon. As far as Baldwin knew, he was handling a block of wood or a piece of plastic. He was assured by other people this is not a conventional gun. This may be one of the few cases in the history of...
So, if you hand somebody a gun, and it looks like a gun, and it fires like a gun, but if you tell them it's not a gun, and they're just an actor, well, we couldn't possibly convict. You know, we've got lights and cameras and staff and crew around. Surely it's completely innocent. There's no intention of harm here. I mean, incredible. But what I really want to know from you guys is if you were on the jury, if you get summoned to serve on this jury, because no doubt he's going to plead not guilty. He won't even take a plea deal because that means an admission of guilt, and surely to Alec Baldwin there can be no admissions of guilt here. You're on the jury now. What is your verdict? And I'm sure you guys have studied this case even more closely than myself. For me, I think the charges are appropriate. Manslaughter. He didn't intend to kill her, but he acted in a negligent way that resulted in the loss of life. And there needs to be accounting for what's happened. And he's the guy that pulled the trigger. He followed his orders. He said that to you. He followed the orders. But all he cares about is saving his ass, and with his slicks to lawyers, I'm sure he'll be able to wriggle himself out of this one. Thanks for watching today's video, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. And this is Holy Critic signing out.